Hello friends, it's Grace and welcome back to another video. I'm going to be doing a tag video today, which I have not done in quite some time. This is going to be the Popular Opinions book tag, which I was tagged in by Angela from Bookaholic Brown Nymph like so long ago. I don't even know. I think that she tagged me in this at like the end of summer, and I for the past that's like 6 months, have just not really done any tag videos. Like, it has been a long time. But I kind of finally remembered that I had some tags to catch up on, and I decided to do this one because this is a very positive and fun book tag. Of course, it's popular opinions, so always nice to share those. So the very first question in this tag is a popular book or series that you love. And I am going to choose The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson for this. And the reason that I'm choosing this is because there are quite a few popular series that I do love, but I actually read The Stormlight Archive in 2020, so it hasn't been talked about in a little bit by me, and it didn't get any attention in any of my 2021 year-end favorites or anything like that because I didn't read it in 2021. It does feel weird that it has been more than a year since I read Rhythm of War because it still has an impact on me. Like, this series is something that I still think about all the time, and it still is for sure an all-time favorite. And of course, I, like many people, am looking forward to the finishing of the first arc with whatever that book title will be in hopefully 2023. But yeah, The Stormlight Archive is hugely epic. It has, in my opinion, great characters. I know that not everyone agrees, which is fine, but it truly has a lasting impact. So that is one reason why I love it, and I, of course, know that this is a hugely popular series that I love. The second question in this tag is an underhyped book that you love or that you wish was more popular. And so for this, I'm not exactly sure if underhyped is the correct word for it, but I definitely think that it deserves to be more popular and deserves all the love, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which I just read in December thanks to Evie from She Was Only Evie. And I've loved listening to Evie talk about that book for the past year because I think it's so beautiful when she talks about it, and finally reading it, I understand why it is such an outstanding book. It's so atmospheric. It has a great main character in Vasya. It is Russian fairy tales and folklore and myths set in this forest town in historical Russia in this very deep winter atmosphere that you can really just feel in your bones. And Vasya, like I said, is a great main character. I love the plot that she goes through. I swear everything about that book is strong, and I would choose for way more people to read it and love it. Question 3 is a romance, a love triangle, or an OTP that you love. And so the one that I chose for this, I was thinking I don't want to choose anything spoilery, and this is not, because these two characters are together right from the start of the first book in the series, and that is Hilo and Wen from the Greenbone Saga. I don't want to say too much about why, because that would get into spoilers, but both of them are extremely interesting and complex characters in their own right, and they are so in love with each other, and their relationship is really interesting and really compassionate and really strong. And one of the reasons that I love them is because of the things that they go through individually and together, and the ways that they deal with it. And I feel like Hilo and Wen are the definition of a power couple. Question 4 in this tag is your favorite genre plus a genre that you want to read more often. And so without a doubt, my favorite genre is fantasy. I don't think that's surprising, and that is probably going to stay that way for a long time. But the genre that I want to read more from, or read from more often, is definitely sci-fi. I know that this is also a very popular genre. Obviously, sci-fi fantasy are often mentioned in the same sentence under the same umbrella of literature, and I really haven't read too much sci-fi. I mentioned this in my stats video, but I only read one like truly sci-fi book last year. There were some books that had sci-fi as maybe like a secondary genre, but the fact remains that if I only read one book that I could really consider purely sci-fi last year, yeah, I would really like to read more from that genre, and there are a lot of interesting things to be read in that genre, so really need to kind of just go for it, and hopefully 2022 will be a little bit better for that. Question 5 in this tag is a popular or beloved character that you love, or a character that you feel deserves more love. And so I ended up going with Locke Lamora for this question. Locke is definitely one of my favorite characters, and I do think that because of the fact that The Gentleman Bastards is maybe a little bit less popular these days, because of the fact that it hasn't had a book come out in so long, like that is kind of just a reality for that series. I feel like Locke doesn't get as much attention as he maybe deserves, because I love smart characters, and I love the way that Locke plots, and I love how much personality he has, and I love the audacity. Like, that is what Locke brings to the table, is the audacity to just try things. Like, the things that he pulls off are unbelievable, and I love that he always has another trick up his sleeve. I love that he is always just willing to go for it, and when he's backed into a corner, he is so smart, and he just is a survivor. And I love Locke, and I feel like he deserves more attention. Question number 6 is an auto-buy author, and the one that I chose for this is Daniel Abraham. And the reason for that is, even though I haven't read all of his works yet, I've read The Long Purse Quartet, and I have pre-ordered Age of Ash, and I also have an arc of Age of Ash. The reason that I chose him for this is because he is an author that when I think about him, I think, yes, I want to read everything that you have written. Because after reading The Long Purse Quartet, and reading about the way that he plots all of his storylines from beginning to end and the way that he writes characters, I want to experience everything that he has written, and I have faith in him. And I think that's really important. I have faith in him to stick a landing when he's writing a story, and I think that he probably does that really well in all of his things. I've only read one of his things, so I don't know, but it was done so well that I have that faith in him. The 7th question in this tag is a popular trope that you love reading about. And for me, this is gonna be, I don't really know if what I'm specifically talking about has a name, so I'm gonna call it identity reveals, just like in general. But in fantasy, what I really like specifically is when a character is undercover in some capacity, or not even undercover necessarily, but in a place they've never been, and they come across other characters that are, as the audience, we know are also significant to the story, but our character doesn't know them and they don't know our character, but those two parties kind of come together and slowly figure out who each other are, and the fact that both of them are significant, if that makes sense. So it's sort of like an identity reveal in the fact that these characters are figuring out who each other are, but not in the classic sense of the word. So if that has a name, you can let me know, but that's kind of just a long version of explaining this very specific trope that I really, really, really enjoy. The 8th question in this tag is a popular series that you are excited to read. And so for this, I chose The First Law Universe by Joe Abercrombie, even though I have read the Blade itself, so I'm excited to read it. Like, it's not as though I haven't started it, but the reason that I chose this is because I still have such a long way to go in the First Law universe, and it's one of the series that is the most popular on BookTube that I haven't really dove into yet that I'm really excited to do so. And I really love Joe Abercrombie's writing style from Blade itself, and I really like some of his characters and kind of the way that he crafts his story. So yeah, just from that and just from that taste, I'm really excited to continue with the First Law universe. The 9th question in this tag is a popular book and film where you love the story in both formats. And for me, this is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I think that this fits because to my surprise, there are a lot of people who don't know that Jurassic Park was based on a book, so I hope that the book and the movie both still count as popular, but I really love both of them. I love the book Jurassic Park. I can read it in about 2 or 3 days and just devour it. It's a great story. It's very thrilling. I love the scientific aspect and the way that Michael Crichton does that in the book. And then the movie is just very entertaining, like a huge blockbuster, and it has a similar appeal and yet different, because there are different story choices made for the movie that in my mind make sense to be changed for the purpose of the movie. So really, even though they are different, I really do love both of them, and I think that both of them are fantastic. So that was the last question in this tag. I'm not actually going to tag anyone in this because I haven't seen anyone do it in a while, and I don't remember who has done it and who hasn't, and it has literally been so long since I was tagged in this that I'm kind of ashamed of myself. So if you see this and you would like to do this tag, please feel tagged and feel free to go ahead and do this. You can say that I tagged you in your video if you would like to. And I really hope that you guys liked this video and enjoyed hearing my answers, like if you did like it, and let me know in the comments down below what some of your answers would be for these questions. So yeah, again, I hope that you enjoyed. Subscribe if you would like to see more content from me. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!